One of the issues students often mention when they're working through some of these modules, the technology modules, is how to get referencing correct. In the TMAs, as tutors, we're asked to be quite strict on the format that students use for the references. So it's important to get this right. Referencing in an academic field is an important thing to get right. If you have any issues with the references, you can often have papers rejected. So it is important to get it right. And if it's your work that's being referenced, you want to make sure you get the credit for it. So yeah, we put a lot of emphasis on referencing as you go through your OU career. In a lot of courses these days, we've started to use Cite Them Right Harvard format. We previously used the OU Harvard format. But what I'm going to focus on here is how to make it a little bit easier on yourself when it comes to your assignments and how to deliver this work. So if you check the OU Library Services page, you'll find a section on referencing and plagiarism. I do strongly encourage reading through the information here. It tells you all about how the Cite Them Right format is used, and it also points you towards some very useful resources. One of the topics it will cover is something called bibliographic management, and there are a number of different bibliographic reference management tools that you are available to sort of make use of. The one I would recommend is Zotero, but it is a lot easier to use Zotero now because they've just brought out a new tool which makes life so much easier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through that now. So yeah, please do look at the OU library pages on referencing and have a familiarise yourself. It's a skill that you're going to develop over your studies. Anyway, the tool I'm going to talk about is actually Zotero Bib. So what Zotero have done is they've built a web interface to their tools that it'll actually store the references temporarily within your browser. So it stores the references in your browser cache. You don't have to mess around setting up the online and the plugins for this. You can just open this page up, zbib.org, and away you go. So I've created an empty Word document that says how to generate references. So the first thing I've done is I've picked there are on the internet, the RFCs that define the internet, the requests for comments, and if you look through the history of the internet, this is how the whole of the internet was effectively built. These RFC documents, network working group documents, were shared, and if you want to find out any aspect of how we are, where we are now with the internet, you can find an RFC that talks about it. But people being people, they came up with April Fool's jokes, and the RFC 1149 and subsequently 2549 and 6214 essentially talk about layer 1 connectivity on the network. So that's the physical layer of the connectivity between machines, as being provided by pigeons. So it's effectively carrier pigeon post. So we found a very useful paper about it. It talks about how a datagram is printed on a piece of paper in hex, and that's wrapped around the leg of a bird, and the band of duct tape secured by its edges. So if I take that and I copy it and I say Weitzman, the author, said, and then open quotes because it's a quote, and we paste that as text, and there we are. That's a statement that we've made. Now we need to reference that. So what I'm going to put down here is references, because that comes at the end. I'm going to go back to the RFC, copy the URL, go to Zotero Bib, paste the URL, hit the cite button, and it thinks about a second, and there we go. We've now got a reference that we can use. Now, the citation there, if I just click on that citation, it tells me that has to be Weitzman 1990. Okay, so I've said Weitzman there, but if I just put 1990, that gives us a reference back to this. So we've now got the in-text citation. If you read the documentation on citations, it tells you there's a different format for the citation depending on whether you name the author the way I've named the author there, or the other thing you can do, if I say and then I say it's possible to use carrier pigeon the same way as we use cables to carry blocks of data. I'll go back to my bibliography there, copy that citation, and then I can paste that citation there because that's who said it, Weitzman 1990. So I've got two references there from that paper. How do I get the reference out of that? Well, I can just copy that to the clipboard, and then if I paste from my references, I've now got the appropriate reference in the appropriate format. So author, the year that it was published, the title of the document, the title of the article, which is Request for Comments RFC 1149 IETF, and it's available at datatracker.ietf.org, and it was last accessed on 29th of September 2011. So that's literally how we create a reference. Now if I wanted to refer to the one with quality of service, so I can then just take that, copy and paste, cite that. So we've now got the new entry in there, and you'll see the bibliography's now got two entries in there. It's got a 1999 entry which will give us that citation, and it's also got the original 1990. And again, if I just click copy to clipboard and I paste that over, rather than changing the font, and just put a carriage return in there to separate the two lines, we've got both references that have now arrived into that document. So the other thing you'll notice in here, it says there are various other formats you can use: ISBNs, DOIs, PMIDs, ARXIVs, IDs, or even just the title. So what I've got here, I've got a PubMed article, and that PubMed article talks about using tools for searching for information online. And it's quite relevant to what we're doing. So what I can get out of there is we've actually got the DOI reference. So if I take that DOI reference and I paste that into the document, then that's going to pull up the details of this particular article, PubMed and Beyond, Survey of Web Tools for Searching Biomedical Literature. It's in database, 2011, tells you the page details, and then gives you the DOI reference for this particular piece of information. And again, you export that by copying it to the clipboard, and again we can paste that over the references, and let's just tidy that up a little bit, put a little bit of white space in between them so we can see what we're doing. What you notice there on that PubMed document, we don't have an accessed piece of data there. So if I just click on that, it does actually show us when it was accessed in the information, but there's quite a bit of other data that comes out of there. So you can actually link to an abstract, you can put additional comments in there, you can expand this information as well. So you can actually edit these references in your bibliography. And that essentially is it. That is all there is to using ZBib, the online way of managing your references. It does create them in the appropriate format for using in the technology, the compute technology and computing modules in the ones that request Cite Them Right format. I believe, let's have a look and see if so we've got Open University Harvard in there as well. So if you want to use, if you're on a module that's using the older OU Harvard style, then that citation style is available. And as you'll see, there are a number of other OU formats that you can actually use for putting citations in. I believe it covers pretty much every citation style that you could wish to use. So if you do follow a different module, then ZBib is available for you to do that. So yeah, that's it. That's ZeteroBib. If you want to go down the route of actually looking at the product Zotero itself, if you just look at Zotero.org, you can actually download the Zotero application, and what that will do is it gives you an application that you can run locally on your machine. And if I was to go back to that PubMed article there, and I click on it gives you a plugin that you can plug into your browser of choice. It won't work with Apple Safari, which is why I've got this running in Firefox at the moment. But if I click on to Zotero, and then I can pick a library that I want to put it into, it says there saving to referencing. And if I go into referencing there, we've got that same information there, all the details, and if you click underneath it, it actually takes a full text PDF of the document itself. So if you're actually wanting to maintain a library of the PDFs that are associated with a particular reference, then you can do that with the full-blown Zotero tool. And all it takes then, really, when you've come to publish this, if you right click on it and then you create bibliography from item, and then Cite Them Right 11th style Harvard, okay, and then click, and then that puts it into your clipboard, and there you go. It allows you to paste that reference directly into your document at as you're writing it. And if you were to create a whole group of these particular references, it will allow you to create or produce quite a long list. So if I look into this particular one, if I create select this entire group and then create bibliography from items in Cite Them Right Harvard style, I'll just put a new page on here at the top of that page, paste that. It gives you an entire bibliography of all those articles in alphabetical order, with the access dates, with the various information. You see there are a lot of DOI references in there. So the full-blown tool, if you're managing lots and lots of references and you want to keep a history of this, so you'll see it's labelled MAODE. That's a master's course I did a number of years ago, and they were the references that were relevant to that. So that's the full-blown Zotero tool. Great way of managing your references, great way of managing your bibliography in your reports, and I do encourage you to look at this and see if it makes any sense to you. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video.